to find the new frequency. Your cellular structure is vibrating with expectancy. You're not going to push this rock uphill. All you have to do is start to activate that part in you to find the new frequency and revitalize what you had. And more. Kryon, you talk in circles. Give us some specifics. I'll do it. There are some old things you need to revisit. Let's talk about affirmations. Do they work? And the answer is very well. Very well. When you speak things out loud with a consciousness of intent, you hear it yourself with your ears, corporally. The cells understand what you're doing. Remember, I said your body is listening. Affirmations are the quickest way to change your reality at this moment in time. Does it work? Let's talk about what doesn't work. How many of you know hypochondriacs who have complained about worry of what they would catch? Over and over, verbalization out loud of what they would catch and what their worry would be, what would be wrong with them. And then, much to their shock and horror, they caught it all. That's an affirmation. It works. Whatever you tell your body, it listens and tries to cooperate with. You understand this? The affirmations should be designed by you. You can get them out of books. They probably will work. But what about ones you design for you? Let me give you some hints about affirmations. Now, it's human nature for you to verbalize things in a certain way. I desire love in my life. My affirmation, my desire is to have things happen in a perfect scenario for me. I desire this, I desire that. I desire to work with God in the best way. I desire. You know what the body's going to pick up? You've got somebody desiring a lot. That's all the body's going to get. That's a bad design for an affirmation for a magnificent human being. The affirmation should tell what you have, not your desire to get it. Do you understand? The affirmation is, I am love, I am healthy, I am this, I am that. The I am is who you are. And as you speak these things daily and out loud, there is a process. The repetition, dear one, is not just entertainment for God. Because some feel that way. You're speaking it over and over. Who's listening? They don't understand. The innate is the bridge that you must build between your corporeal and your innate has to be built in this way. Start talking to your own cells and your own innate. I am love. I am a reader. World class. I am a medical intuitive that helps people on the planet. I am one who God uses every day to help humanity. I am love. I am kind, I am considerate, I am patient. I am in love with my relatives. I am. Your body will hear this over and over. All right, Kryon, I love it. How many times do I say it and how loud? We are entertained by your ignorance. By now, you've got to know. When you're dealing with you, only you have these answers, dear ones. How often should you say it? There's some of you who've got to say it as you drive from place to place, just to remind yourself who you are. Others of you, once a day. Others of you, twice a day. What are the issues? What are you trying to do? You've heard it before. Don't try. Be. This really, truly is the beginning of change. I have the new frequency and I'm working with it. All of those attributes that I was worried about are now in control and back. I am a healer. It's not wishful thinking. The affirmations is a statement of truth. Let me define something yet again that you should know about. Human nature works with a human brain. The kinds of things we're discussing right now are fully linear to you. But they have a multidimensional aspect that you do not really truly understand. Words in the air are frequencies. Statements of intent are energies. You cannot see them and you cannot measure them. And they are absolutely powerful. Prayer works. Meditation works. This is quantum physics. The numbers would astonish you of the energies that you can create by simply stating things to yourself in the air. Kryon, do I have to have them out loud? You know what? I will say it. It's better if they are. They have a more concrete approach to your own system if your system hears them 3D through the air from your mouth. Yes, you're able to do it without speaking if you wish. Not all can, dear one. You're looking at a vibratory shift. You're not looking at the way things used to be. What stands in the way of this? And I want to tell you, I want to show you the example. If you are, for instance, a master carpenter, what if truly your talent was so great as a carpenter? Years and years, you could take a nail and swing a very large hammer in such a beautiful, elegant way that you could pound the nail in with one swat. All the way into the wood, you had figured it out. Your aim was perfect. You knew what kinds of woods would take the nail that you had. You never missed. You were fast, you were proficient. Others looked at you and they said, here is a craftsman. In that there is pride, is there not? Year after year, pretty soon that there are those coming to you, pretty soon you're even teaching it. One swipe, perfect aim. The hammer in your hand is an elegant one. It's balanced just for you. You've had it custom made. You get the picture? One day you wake up and you even miss the wood. It's gone. And you try to get it back. Nail after nail bends. You end up hitting your thumb a few times, so you're more careful. What is your reaction to that? What is your human reaction? I want you to walk through this with me. Anger? Yes. Frustration? Yes. And what is the conclusion? You lost it. It was good while you had it, and now it's gone. This is what I will call the finality of 3D. The human who goes right to the conclusion that it's over. The reason is because you've never experienced this before. You don't know what's coming. You don't know what you don't know. Therefore, frustration, anger, I quit, it's over. Some even will turn their back on God. So profound is this. What have you been given in your life that you cannot handle? It is so awful that you'd give up on God. And I will tell you, whatever it is you tell me, that is really human of you. It's beneath your magnificence. It's not logical with the God inside. And what am I telling you? I'm telling you to get over yourself. It's coming back, craftsman. You spent all those years doing this. What do you think? You're just uncoordinated suddenly? No, I will tell you, the hammer changed. And the nail keeps moving around. What do you do about that? You learn where the nail goes because you know where it's going to move. Now you're not just hammering in static nails, you're hammering in moving nails. That's much better. You're much more talented. A carpenter who can pound in moving nails. It's a funny premise, is it not? And that is exactly what we're looking at. A talent that increases, but did you see how the parameters moved around? What if I told you your hammer was different? All right, what do you do when your hammer weighs differently and is balanced in an unusual fashion? What you do, get ready for the word, practice. It's beneath some of you to start over. Go back to the beginning. What did you do when you started the processes that you got good at, dear ones? Maybe the process you got good at was health. I want you to think about this. What did you do? You examined your diet. You examined the energy. You examined everything around you so that you could find a place that worked for you. Now you have this idea that whatever you found is going to be good forever. It just changed. Start it again. Find a new one. Those of you who are readers and psychics and all of those energy workers, if the frequency has changed, find a new frequency. How? Practice. Push on the door. Have patients come to you that are willing to practice with you. Do you remember when you did it the first time? Channelers. Do you remember the first time? I speak to my partner here. It was awful. Ask me. Horrible. Couldn't get through every other word, even less. Until he relaxed with it. The more he practiced, the better he got. Now this is second nature. He learned to step out of the way. He's not a puppet for Kryon. I'm using his higher self. You do know that, don't you? The consciousness of my partner, his voice, his intellect, his culture, his language. That's not Kryon, that's him. He is translating Kryon. We're working together. He steps aside in consciousness, but he's working through practice. You don't want to start over, do you? Let me tell you something. You don't have to. When you start pushing on the door and going back to the basics will graduate into fulfillment fast. You'll get the hang of it. You'll remember. You'll alter it a little and it expands. This is you adjusting to the new normal, enhancing what you had to something bigger, grander, and greater. Laughing at how the nails move around because you got a hammer that hits them every time. In fact, it becomes a game. The nails want to go into the wood, but they like to dance a little first. You see what I'm saying? It becomes a joyful experience, something that would be horrible to you right now to think about, because it was such an awful change for you. Things moving around, shifting energy, not being the same. What if you flew, you had the ability to flow with it so much it became a dance? Welcome to the new human. Higher consciousness and becoming quantum. This is what we want to teach you. This is what we want to tell you. Now there would be those who would listen to this and later they would say, I have no idea what Kryon said. Not really. You may have to listen to this a number of times. You may have to listen to this later in order to fully understand what we're saying. This may not apply to you yet. You may remember this channel and say, I better listen now because something's happening. Right now, together, I want you to see the magnificence of who you are. Potentials are reality. Is there illness here? I want to tell you, you have so much control over your own chemistry. It's listening to you. It wants to hear what you have to say. What are the affirmations you would say to your body? Besides, I am healthy, get specific. I am not in pain. I am never going to experience certain kinds of things again. I don't need to. There's no reason for them. You'll find you have more control over your body than you ever thought you had before, even over those things which medicine tells you you cannot do. My blood is clean. My blood is balanced. I'm telling you, you as a human being in this new energy, have more power in these words than you think. Affirmations? Yes. The energy caused from them, you've never seen anything like it. That's what the new energy is going to deliver. Starting over? Yes. But not to the same number of years to practice, just a little while. Go back to basics. Push. Stop waiting. It's time to act. Getting used to the new normal applies to many of you right now and some of you later. And of course, those who already figured it out. This is our message for the day. Sit with me for a minute, just a moment. You realize who you are. To receive this message, do you know who you are? Lemurian? He helped start the civilization that has the peace of God inside. Many of you are your own ancestors. You have been through this earth history. So many of you. It is not an accident as my partner moves around the globe that he speaks to only old souls. I want you to think about it. Do you deserve to be free of pain? Do you deserve to have all of the things back that you might have thought you lost? I am speaking to specific people listening to this now, specific family members that I know so well right now, and you know who I'm talking to. Affirmation. I am recovering, not good enough. Affirmation. I have recovered from my grief. Blessed is the Lord my God who lives inside of me. I just spoke to somebody who needed to hear that. Is it okay? I want you to prepare for mastery, for this is where it's going. All of you, at some level, at some time, in the lives to come and in this one, get ready for the new human being. And so it is.
Hi everybody, thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive. Hi everybody, thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. My partner steps aside, as he must for a channel like this to be given. He knows what this is like and has done it many times. He's in a place, if you wish to call it that. And he is listening like you are listening. He has distractions, however, that are not the ones you have, and he's spoken of that before. He is not talking now. And again we say, that perception must be clean for you to cognize what is being said. I speak of things that are beyond his knowledge. And I talk about the real energy of this planet that is physical right now. We have spoken of physics many times. We're not going to today. But we're going to talk about physical, three-dimensional things that are affecting you through an interdimensional source that is changing that which you know. We have said now 4 years that this change was coming. The prophecies have been clear in their own vague way that the consciousness of the planet itself was going to shift. That the planet would become softer. And that things unexpected would happen. We even told you there's a wild card coming. And that you're going to get more of them. And they may feature things, inventions you didn't expect, actions you didn't expect, benevolence you didn't expect. Softer energy is coming to you. And that is very sweet, and many have said, that's a good prediction, a wonderful prophecy. I want to tell you what's really happening. I want to give you the ABCs of it, as you say. I want to give you the physicalness and the reality of what's going on. Some of this will appear to you as a review, but it isn't. It's a consolidation of many little pieces that I've given you before to show you what is going on today. The subject is DNA. DNA is not simply a chemical molecule in your body. It is a multi-dimensional piece of divinity. The very molecule that you call DNA is all over the galaxy, dear ones. It is life. It is the way life forms. It is the patterning. It is the geometry of life everywhere. And you're going to see this. Well understood by many, not so well by some. And it's changing. It can only change through physics. You are not receiving any chemical changes from the universe. It's all through physics. I'll review 26 years ago when I came in. I told my partner to write in his first book, and he did, that the magnetic grid of the earth is shifting. And it did. It had to. Because the magnetic grid of the planet is related to, intertwined with, the physics of human consciousness. As goes the grid, goes human consciousness. And it has been approximately the same through your lifetimes. And now it moves a lot. It moved so that it could be positioned to receive something that is now receiving. Think of it as moving the furniture so that you can better view something you didn't know was viewable. And so you're reposturing the grid for something coming to it that it's going to end up being called an evolutionary energy. And it's physical. It's really physical. Months ago and years before that, we told you that your planet is going into a place, if you want to call it that, in space that it never has been in before. This is not esoteric. Ask an astronomer. Is the solar system coming out of a protective bubble into a new kind of radiation or energy or whatever you can call it that you haven't seen before? Is it possible that your solar system is losing a protective sheath that it's always had because of where it was? I want you to understand your solar system has always been on the move. It rotates around the center of the galaxy. You're always in a new period of time and space, constantly. But all of the lifetimes on this planet you've had have been in one energy, and now it changes. And now it changes. Physically, what is it doing? The new energy is affecting your sun, because this energy is designed to do that. Dear ones, what if I told you this energy was always here waiting for you to pass the marker? This is an evolutionary energy that's going to affect your sun, the heliosphere of your sun, which then passes to the magnetic field of the earth, which has now been repostured for new consciousness. Oh, there are those who intellectuals say, well, what if we had destroyed ourselves? What if there was no humans to receive this? It's simple. Nothing would have happened. But the area of space was still there, and the same energies would have been there, and you would not have been. Simple. But you are. And so the prophecy itself from the indigenous is being fulfilled a great deal by the new energy that are in space. They affect your sun. The heliosphere of your sun changes. Now, the sun had to be quiet for this. I want you to ask an astronomer about the sun and the cycles of the sun. And I want you to ask the astronomer, what period of radiance is the sun in at the moment? And the astronomer will say, well, it appears to be one of the quietest times the sun has ever seen. Solar flares and sunspots are disturbances in the multidimensional field that surrounds the heliosphere of the sun. We wanted it as quiet as possible, and this was timed for that. The sun is quiet. It's affecting your weather. We told you that. Due to its quietness, you're in a cycle of weather that we also predicted that has a lot to do with the energy that's coming. That's physical. Ask an astronomer. They're worried about it, some of them. Others are not. It is affecting you. Now you know why the magnetic grid was changed, when it was changed, and why. That's physical. Now, a bit more esoteric. At the same time this is happening, we gave you the information of the nodes and the nulls. Is it possible that the Pleiadians themselves, having been there at the beginning and knowing about this change, this marker, the ones that actually helped with the prophecies, they actually were the ones that influenced the Mayan calendar, of course, through intuition, would know about this time. The nodes and the nulls are fast-track engines that are affecting the grids of the planet. Consciousness. The grids of the planet affect consciousness. Crystalline, remembrance, magnetic consciousness that is soft or hard. The Gaia grids, all of them are being tempered, fast-tracked, fed, if you want to say, by the nodes and the nulls. This is information, if you haven't heard about it before, is easy to find. I want you to look at the confluence of energies that are shifting and changing that directly affect one thing, your DNA. The DNA of the human being is ready to shift and change. You'll never see it in a microscope because it's not chemical, it's physics. The 90% of DNA that heretofore was junk, and now you understand it's not, has within it information that is multidimensional and is ready to receive information from the sources I just gave you. Like antennas in your body, the DNA is going to receive and shift, and it's going to affect genetics. Mothers receive it first, pass it to your children. Mothers, you don't even know you got it, and you're passing it to your kids. There is what you would call perhaps an agreement in biology that it would be passed in a new way to the newborns. And the newborns are the ones that would then wake up with the change. And they are. I'm going to talk about Genesis cells in a moment because this is important that you know what they are. And it will be perhaps new information or maybe not. It's a Kryon term, not a medical term. There may be medical terms similar. This is different. The baby comes into the planet, and what is going on is you're in a new place in space. You have the nodes and the nulls feeding into the grid new information, and the paradigm of consciousness is different for them than for you. Things start working better. Intuitive self. The barrier between innate and consciousness. All of these things start to improve. The barrier starts to become less. Be ready for children that have intuition about what's wrong with them. And if they tell you something's wrong, take them to the doctor. Don't tell them it's your imagination, honey, or it'll be okay later. Do you hear that? There are those listening to this right now who need to hear that because their children are looking at them and saying this. I feel funny. Something's wrong. Moms for years used to raising children are used to a paradigm in the old energy. And the paradigm has a certain kind of health template. It's changed. The kids are waking up to being intuitive about their own health. The bridge isn't built yet to innate, but it is close, and they're feeling something, and innate is talking to them for the first time. You didn't get it. They do. Listen to them. The Akash of the child is starting to become clearer. These children are going to tell you so many things about who they've been and what they've done. Church, get ready for it. If you're a parent and you're listening to this now, the worst thing you can do is suppress it. The best thing you can do is to tell the child the absolute truth. The absolute truth. I believe you. There are those who won't. Let's make an agreement when you say it out loud and when you don't. That's truthful. And the child will get it. The child will get it. And it won't disturb things that you don't want disturbed. And the child will know it because it has an ally called a parent who believes it 100%. These are instructions for kids in the new age. It's going to get even stronger the children they have will surprise them on how much better certain things work. Now that's a newborn child. Instinct is going to work better than it ever has. Now, instinct is not something that you're used to seeing in humans. You see it in animals. Because the offspring of animals, for survival, have an instinct that is passed so well, they can walk within hours of birth. You don't have that. Instinct is starting to become part of that which is Akash. It is chemical as well as being esoteric, as is in animals. You ought to have it, and you will. You're going to see children remembering how to walk and how to eat faster. Faster than they should have. Faster than the doctors that know about child development will give you. It's off the scale. Get ready for it. It's instinct. It's simple chemistry, but it's working better. Just like in the animal kingdom. Children will come in remembering what their parents know, what their parents are able to do, what a human being is able to do, walk and talk, and eat properly. As it is now, every mother in the room knows you start from scratch, nothing, zero, every time a child is born. And that is changing. If you look at the individual cell and DNA itself, if you could say what is happening, it is becoming enabled. Now you're using a funny word, and it's a buzzword in esoteric, and it's called activation. Don't change it, it's fine. But it actually is not accurate. You are releasing DNA from a prison. If you have somebody who is crippled in a chair, now this is going to mean something to those of you who are here, not to those who are listening later, because there's been an example on the screen. A cripple in a chair, shriveled, not able to move. And suddenly they are released slowly from this, and the fingers untangle. The hand starts to become whole again. They start to move and wiggle because of something that's happened to the DNA. Not to the hand, not to the muscles, not to the fingers, not even to the arm, to the DNA. It's a release. I want you to hold this vision. Released from a prison of being crippled. Your DNA is crippled. And it's your free choice of where you wanted to take the energy of this planet, and your DNA cooperated. That is what you've lived with, and that's what's changing. It's not DNA activation, it's DNA release. Release. Look at that. In the paradigm, in your visualization, you're releasing what has been held back. And you're asking how? Do you realize the help that you have? Did you think for a moment that all of this was going to be you just doing things? It involves the galaxy, the part of space you're in, the nodes and the nulls, the creator of the universe. It involves the Pleiadians. It involves your timeline. All of this for you to sit in a new energy and release the DNA. Dear ones, I want to tell you, old souls, there's something you ought to know. You don't have to wait for this. The old soul has the equipment inside right now, just like the newborn. Now, I want you to follow this. We've not talked about this in this way before. Your DNA is filled with information and templates. Now, we are calling them templates, which are patterns and paradigms of life. and there are templates which you have only received partially. Now, what you don't know about a template, it has what we would call patterning of its own. If you have a portion of a template already, that is to say, a piece of the design, it draws to itself the rest of the design if it could get it. Did you understand that? If you have a piece of the picture, that piece has an attitude. An attitude of desire and wanting the rest of the picture. As soon as it's possible to get that, it's like magnetics. It literally flies to itself and the template snaps into place and you get the whole thing. All of you have pieces of the template. And all of those pieces in an old soul are ready to attach themselves, literally calling the names of the rest of the template to come forward. And in this new energy, that is what you can do. You are going to then complete the templates that are missing. Old soul. One of the templates that never goes away is part of a manual. Think of it this way. Although it's not linear, I want you to think of the manual of birth. When you came in, what was the manual like? What page were you on when you were 5 days old? What page were you on at 6 months? What page were you on when you were 30? And you all know that all the pages are different because of the chronology of growing up. The pages are still there. The template is still there for what I call Genesis cells. Genesis cells, as I will define them, are the cells of a newborn which accelerate growth and learning. All the antennas are 10 times as long as they are for you now. The child absorbs the world in 6 months, learns everything in 6 months. Speech, walking, all of the things. Its antennas are so big, listening to the attitudes and the consciousness of every single parent in the room. You know that. It's different for a kid than it is now. And then that slows down. And then you have the adult. Genesis cells, they're still there. The template is still there. The instruction sets for how they're made, if you want to call it that, are still there. By the way, it's all physics. Now, old soul, these cells are available for you now. Just go get them in the book. You do it with affirmations, you do it with consciousness, you do it with meditation. However you communicate with innate, it's ready to activate the Genesis cells. And what that means to you is fast-track growth to enlightenment. To any situation you have, whether it's healing, whether it's teaching, whether it's talent, can you imagine right now, whatever age you are, 10 times? Genesis cells are ready for the old soul. I keep saying old soul. Did you notice? You've got to have graduated. In other words, a number of lifetimes gives you the template information that a newbie would not have that's been on the earth 4 or 5 times. You've got to have 100 lifetimes, maybe 1,000, to develop experience, to recognize what's going on. Every one of you in this room can say to yourself, I know that I've been here before. You know too much. You feel too much. You're in this room. You wouldn't be otherwise. That's been stated. It's accurate and it's true. You're an old soul. Everything I just told you is about the enhancement of the human being in an energy that if you were alert, you would have expected. What does an enhanced old soul look like? And the answer is compassion. I close with this. The secret to mining your Akash is having a compassionate consciousness. Does that surprise you? That's what has been missing all along. If you're going to mind your Akash, that is to be in touch with who you were and start rewriting who you are, you're going to have to come to an agreement of compassion with yourself, lack of anger, care for others, purity of God inside. Now, I've never said that before. That's physics. The physics of consciousness to create compassion creates what I call compassionate action. Then you can start minding your Akash. It's for everyone in the room. An old soul knows how to do this. Those listening, I know who you are. You wouldn't be listening unless you were an old soul, even an uninterested old soul. You are one, you know you are. Compassion is the king of all descriptions of emotion at this point on the planet. It's going to lead you into an evolved state, and without compassion and caring for others, it is not going to work. In fact, nothing will work. Very slowly, there's going to be a split, and we talked to you about it before, those who are compassionate and those who are not. And it's going to be obvious. Obvious. Caring or uncaring. State of mind. That's the split to come. Don't worry about it, compassionate one. When you take the attributes of the Master, light surrounds you. No more fortressing. Some of you know what that is. No more catching the diseases of the day. They won't be able to touch you with compassion. It's physics. It's real. It's physical. And it's happening now. Your society will reflect this sooner than you think. And you turn on your news and you think I'm crazy. Just wait. There's some wild cards coming. Benevolent in a new energy. I'm crying in love with humanity. And so it is.
Hi everybody, thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive. Hi everybody, thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive.
And I invite you to close your eyes and take a moment to feel the energy of the crystal or the rock that's in your hand. And if you don't have a crystal or a rock, take a moment to feel the energy beneath your feet. For wherever you are standing on Gaia. Even if you're in a building with concrete, underneath that is Gaia. And so allow yourself to feel the energy of Gaia. Many of you may even feel the messages from Gaia being sent to you in this moment. She is deeply honored that we have created an Earth Day. And she asks us that every day is Earth Day. We are reminded of our ancestors who greeted the earth every morning as soon as they arose. They greeted the sun, and there was an alliance. They watched the sun set, and there was an alliance. They saw the seasons come and go, and they understood the reasons for the changes in day and night and temperature, and there was an alliance. And so the message from Gaia is one of gratitude and thanks for acknowledging her, and to invite you to rekindle this alliance that exists. And so we thank Gaia for sharing her precious moments with us in this meditation. And we give thanks and gratitude for the Kryon message to come.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. The series that I have chosen to give you this month would be 4 things that are spectacular, controversial, and true. And this is the 3rd one. And what I'm going to present now to those who are watching this program, you'll say, well, of course. Well, I knew that. But this sequesters the information only to you, and meaning you're aware of it because you have chosen to be interested in this program. But in general, for the planet, what I'm about to give you is controversial. Spectacular because of its truth. True, very true. And what I'm going to tell you, and then speak of it even more in detail, is this. Dear ones, your souls that are eternal, that had no beginning, they just simply always were, difficult for you to understand, and will always be, these are your souls. That's you. That's your essence. That soul of yours plays many roles on this planet. In other words, you reincarnate. Spectacular because it's the plan that helps to advance this planet with a consciousness that you have free choice to use. That is the engine of conscious advancement. Because your soul comes back as one who has been here and done this and has a chance then to advance past that because it lays into your Akash. Like a school would be, to advance the grades lifetime after lifetime. You retain what happened last time and work it out the next time. Some call it karma. It's more than that, dear ones. It's actually not that. The system of past lives gives you the ability to go through this school of earth and learn and advance, but more than that, to come closer to a truth that we have already given you. A basic truth that you are part of God. A basic truth that says that the entire plan is about elevating this consciousness of this planet to mastery. That's the engine. It has to be. If everyone simply came one time, you'd all still be in kindergarten. Now, some have said you still are. In that, I tell you, the cycles of time, some of them being very slow, would actually cooperate with that, for you have cycles of change that sometimes then cooperate to push you into a higher consciousness if you're ready. And one just did. And that's the 2012 shift. That's the reason for Kryon to even be here. Most of your planetary modern religions do not believe in reincarnation. In fact, if you talk to someone who is in one of those belief systems, they'll look at you like you're nuts. Can't be that way. They'll say, if it was that way, how could the doctrine that we believe actually work? Because you're born, you're tested, and then you're either punished or rewarded. That's one time. I will tell you something, dear ones. That is not a God system. That's not a creator system. That's a men's system. You come in. You have to be naughty or nice. Sounds like Santa Claus. And you either get a present or you get tortured. We told you in channel number 1 of the series how illogical and dysfunctional that system is, totally. It's not a loving system. Think about it. It's not from God. The system that is beautiful has you coming and returning. The first organized religion on this planet, in your time frame, that you can call something that belongs to your civilization, is Hinduism. And in that, the staple of Hinduism is reincarnation. This is just to give you a sample of this answer to a question: what was the first intuitive thoughts of humans back then, without a doctrine to think about, without rules? What did they come up with that they could grasp and work with together? And the system was love, compassion, and included past lives. Subsequent to that, there have been others also that include past lives. On the planet right now, there are billions who still believe that reincarnation is not just a possibility, but is the way it works. But I am talking to a culture and those cultures around this culture that often do not believe it. Spectacular it is, because this truth is actually the kernel, the seed, the engine, as I said, to an advanced planet, to coming back. Some have said, well, what about the indigenous? You know, I don't hear much about past lives of the indigenous. They do it differently, dear one. Listen to them talking about their ancestors. Why would they go to so much trouble to capture the wisdom of their ancestors, to pray to their ancestors, to go there almost every single time they go into any kind of a meditation or a ceremony? And the answer is this: because they understand that they are their own ancestors. That part of that wisdom is translated through the earth, the dirt of the earth, right back to them. This is their form of understanding the cycle. Ask the indigenous about the cycles. They'll give you the same information I have. There is a grander plan, dear ones, and it all is part of coming back. There are so many things that I could give you, so many examples of the beauty of a returning human. In all of these things, I want you to know this. You, your soul, could hardly wait to get here. I will tell you something else, controversial to the max. You chose your parents. We have said this before, that there are so many of you right now going, you got that one wrong, Kryon. Others may have chosen their parents. I would never have chosen those. You did. You chose them for numbers of reasons. You didn't choose them so that you would have a test or you would have a troubling life. You chose them because you might be their teacher, old soul that you are. There are many old souls who choose young soul parents so that those parents might learn from you. And you might say, well, I'm not really sure my parents learned anything from me. You don't know what you don't know. Things go in and they settle. Souls learn differently than humans learn. There are systems afoot. Your consciousness of what you believe affects others in ways you don't even think they do. All part of this plan. My partner, he asked and answered a question. Both asking and answering, why do some have to die early? The answer is they don't have to. But they had an agreement And if you look at it this way, that before they ever came in, the agreement was this, that if they achieve a high consciousness to that state at which they can, that some of them said, I'm going to leave early and come back and continue right away so this planet has a chance. A population of the future with wisdom. And so no matter what you do for them, it doesn't help. And as you stand perhaps at the ceremony in their memorial, with tears running down your face, there's still some wise ones among you that say, thank you for the plan, for they will affect this planet and I'm going to be there because I'm coming back too. Spectacular, true, beautiful. And that's who you are. Now you know why. I am in so much love with humanity for what you do for each other, for the universe, for this beautiful earth. Truly spectacular. And so it is. And so it is. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive. Hello, I'm Lee Carroll.
With that being said, let's do a short meditation to prepare ourselves to receive the message from Kryon. And it's as simple as this. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And focus on the area of your heart. Your heart has emotional intelligence. And your heart knows what you wish to do, which is to relax. Find the center of your being. The center of your being is always in a state of peace. Being peace, tranquil, and calm is your natural state of being. And this meditation is to remind you of that natural state of being that is innately yours. And as we connect with our center, we feel the eternal peace because it's connected with our eternal soul. And in gratitude and love, let us now continue to receive the messages from the loving entourage of Kryon that is coming through the veil in a third language being delivered to you.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. Each time that my partner brings me to this place, in this, which is a place where many observe, it's different. This is a healing program. And yet it's also a platform to discuss so much that is magnificent about the human being. And so you're going to hear a various array, you might say, of subjects, but they're all going to center on you. We've spoken about the times that you're in. And that will play into this channel a little bit. Because you wonder, is all of this random? This being your existence here, the systems that put you here, past lives, if you believe that? And coming to this planet at this time to experience this, there are many who would say, well, it's too bad I had to be this time. without understanding. This is an appointment you made. You wouldn't have had it any other way. It brings up the whole question of how much control you have over what happens to you. And I don't mean here, because we have discussed that many times, dear ones. We've discussed a reality that you have that is indeed one that you choose, one that you direct. We have told you many, many times that how your consciousness sees the world is how the world becomes for you. This is very difficult for many who say, I see. You mean that I'm not going to step out and have the chance of being run over by a truck like everyone else? And the answer is, you're right, you won't, because your consciousness won't put you in that situation. We have discussed that very thing. Can consciousness field those kinds of issues? And the answer is yes. And we say field those kinds of issues because you are dealing with something called the field. Fielding something means to work with it. You work with a reality so you be in the right place at the right time. Your consciousness, if it's high enough, will direct you there. This is you controlling your own reality, but it's far, far greater than that. That's while you're here. Are there systems, you might ask, that would put you in other places where you have a say about esoteric things? And what would those things be, you might ask? And the answer is everything. How esoteric would you like to get? Well, seeing as though you're listening to channeling, you're already there. The first belief systems on this planet, long time ago, started understanding a staple of existence for you and your soul. And that is that you come and go and come and go and come and go. The soul that you have is eternal, but many of your belief systems today that are supposed to be modern have decided that that soul is somehow linear. It shows up when you're born, and it goes somewhere else when you die, and it goes from A to B, and that's it. Not understanding that that soul of yours has no beginning. It has no end. Because you see, the soul is part of that which is the creative source. It's part of God. So in that there is a system, and that system is past lives and future lives. The system is, if you wish to call it, reincarnation, where your soul reincarnates over and over again. This was the intuition of the first systems on the planet, and even this day, right now, more believe in that system than not. So it's not something that belongs to a few. But let's ask the question, if you believe in these things, what is the system? And in that, how much do you have to say about it? Now, if you buy into what many tell you, you don't have anything to do with it. It's like the king on high directs it. And that, dear one, is linear. It comes from you in a human family. That's what your father would do, or a king would do. That's what government would do. And that is often how you see God. That's not how it works at all. You've heard of collective consciousness. It's more than that. When you're on the other side of the veil, dear ones, you are connected to all that is. Are you understanding that? You may understand the verbiage, but you can't really truly understand it, because that is a connection that is not for you here. You are part of all that is when you're not here. And therefore, there is no committee meeting to decide if you're coming back, when you're coming back, what gender you will be, what you're going to do, who you'll be with, what culture you'll be in, all of these things. There's no committee to decide that. There's no instructions that come down in a book to help you decide that. I've described this many times to you, and yet I want to tell you again, this is more magnificent than you think. It's you, with that which is all the other entities, making instant decisions. If you even want to call them decisions, it's a knowingness of how you will come back, who you will be. We've told you many times that the system of reincarnation is one that honors the human. And that means you often come back in the same culture and the same language, even often the same gender, for many years before there's ever a change. This honors you, for that means that you awaken with an Akash that you recognize. The language is recognizable. The culture is recognizable. And as you grow up with certain parents, you're having the same experiences you've had over and over. And it's comfortable, and you fall into a pattern. The entire reason for reincarnation is learning. You might say it is a school of consciousness that creates an old soul. And with many, many lifetimes, no matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, what happens at the end of that is maturity. And with free choice, you either awaken or not to a grander truth. Welcome to the grander truth. But I want to tell you more about what's happening there. You're part of it there. I want you to understand just how much is involved in this that you have something to say about. Oh, I know what you're going to tell me, Kryon. You're going to tell me that I selected my parents, and you're going to tell me that I selected all the things that I'm going to doing. I'm going to tell you, Kryon, there is no way I would have chosen those people. You see, I've been here before, and I've heard you, human being, because you don't understand. You don't understand the system. The system is not about personalities. It's about energy and love and compassion and learning. You will stand there at the wind of birth, seemingly with millions of other souls making decisions at the same time, and you will look and see and understand you're going to come down to this planet and be born perhaps of difficult parents in dysfunctional families. And the entire reason is because you're going to be the only old soul. And as you start to grow up, you'll have an awakening of knowingness, and they will have not a clue. You understand where this is going. You become their teacher. How do you like it so far? This is what many of you have chosen, and you have to do this because that is the compassionate way of God. When I say you have to do it, I mean there is no other choice. That is the way of it. That is the road of compassion. That's the road of understanding and maturity. And you will stand there and say, what is the most difficult place? Because there is light needed in this family. I want to come over here and do this and that. And then at the same time you'll say, and I want to continue being a musician. I want to continue with my artistics. I want to continue to think a certain way. All of that is honored, have you noticed? And musicians become musicians. So the creative parts of you, those blessed, beautiful parts, can continue, even in dysfunctional families. This is more complex than you think. There's this idea that the more lifetimes you're in, the more you graduate, and the nicer life you're going to have. So the more lifetimes you live, the more comfortable you'll be lifetime after lifetime. Let me give you a reality check. The more mature you are and the more lifetimes you have under your belt, the more you can do for the planet when it needs you, especially in dysfunctional places like families who don't know anything about that creative, beautiful source, and you do. I'm talking to so many of you who become what we have called the black sheep of the family. You're not welcome home. But let me tell you something. You have had a huge influence. You've made them think about things. You've made perhaps changes in their Akashic record. Did you know that's possible? You are interfacing with everyone here in a multidimensional, grander way than you think. You're planting seeds everywhere you go. What they do next, the lifetimes they live next, will have you in their Akash as a remembered teacher with things they can never forget, things you've told them that they may disagree with, but then they can see who you are. We've told you before, no matter who says what to you, show them kindness. No matter what names you are called, show them understanding and kindness. No matter what they do because they don't agree with you, even perhaps to disowning you or telling you to go away and not come back, I want you to see what they are going through in their dysfunction because they don't have the love that you do. And treat that accordingly because you have the compassion and the love to look at them and say, no matter what you say or what you do, I love you. And that will change them. It always does. It always does. Oh, you have so much influence on who you are today by appointment on this earth to be right here going through this, old soul. And so it is.
Hello, I'm Lee Carroll. Hello, I'm Lee Carroll.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. I am so aware, as Kryon, on my side of the veil, of who is here, of who has chosen to listen to these particular messages that focus more on healing than any messages we've ever given. There have been some that would say, why Kryon now? Why is it so important that the focus has moved a little bit from that which you've been teaching in the past to something so specific, which we would then label to you as a healing time? The healing word means so much. There are so many things that you can improve, and we call that healing. Why now? What is the difference? And we will tell you this, that the ones who listened to this particular message in this particular fashion, that's you right now, you're special. And what I mean by special is that you are an old soul. You're special because you have gone through so much, so many lives, in order to get to this place in this year, with what's going on this planet right now. You won't find many listening to this who are not old souls. That's a double negative, I know. Old souls are the ones who are interested in this information. And the healing and the reason we focus on this is because we need you. We collectively, all of those on the other side of the veil, you might even say the angels, are looking to you to live longer, to be joyful, to understand things perhaps you've never understood before, the power that you have inside to control your own reality, to work with your own cellular structure, to do the things that perhaps you've never been told you could do. This is why we need you to stay. It doesn't make sense, dear ones, that you will follow that which perhaps you've been told and you'll live a short lifetime or have a disease that will have you pass sooner than you should, or the should being that you need to. We need you here. The focus is on healing not only to extend your life, dear ones, but to make a life for you as you are here that is more comfortable so your health is better. Do you understand? This is why the focus is on healing. These many months ago, and I told my partner, you're going to do this, and this is the new focus. He didn't know where it would go. Now he is more familiar, and he himself is starting to understand and feel the profundity, the importance of speaking to you. How do you feel on what I've just said to you? Do you feel that you're included? You should. I know who's watching. I know who's watching now. I know who's watching later. When your eyes and your ears turn upon this particular message, no matter when it is given, I know you're watching. This is because I represent a multidimensionality that is the same one of spirit. It's an angelic reality, dear ones. It has no time to it, not as yours does. We know who you are. The lesson for today is about this new, I would say, perception, this new paradigm that we speak of. And one of the issues that you all have is because of how you are trained to believe. When I say trained, I mean this. If you could define training, it would be something that you have repeated over and over to you. Whether it is in a session you go to or something is casual, but you hear the same thing so many times that you are trained in it. And it becomes a reality that is yours to understand, to believe in, to expect. And when that training starts to fall apart because we give you other things that go against it, then we have an issue. The issue is one of disbelief. Can this really be true? Because of all my training. Some training becomes so stuck, such a reality to some people, that when they start to hear something else, anything else, from what they've been trained to, they turn away. This is happening all around us, all around you. It happens in front of your eyes, and perhaps you don't even see it. When you find out a truth that perhaps is different from another person, and you'll show them the truth and even show them proof of the truth, and they will look at you and say, "I'm sorry," and walk away. Because they have been trained in their own truth, even though you show them, perhaps there's something else to look at. Just perhaps. But they won't. Even the old soul, dear ones, is involved in this particular attribute. What is it you're trained in that I want to talk about right now? You might think it's not a bad thing to be trained in. It's the majesty of God. The majesty, the overwhelming power, beauty, love, if you want to call it, power of the Almighty. And where am I going with this? Because when it comes to healing, what have you been trained? Talk to me. What have you been trained? And the training goes like this. I don't do the healing, God does. The training goes like this. Let go and let God. The training has you release all responsibility for everything and hand it over to this almighty power of love, beauty. You'd say, well, what's wrong with that? Dear ones, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that the process at this point in time is not the correct one. Sure, there are times to let go and let God. But dear ones, when it comes to healing, that's different. And I want to talk to you about that, because this will not be the first channel that delves into what's next. You go through the healing circle of 12. You're introduced every time to a multi-dimensional attribute of possibilities. And I say possibilities because even that goes against a perception that you're trained in. The training is what I can touch and feel is real, and what I cannot is not. Therefore, if you take me into a place I cannot touch and feel, it doesn't exist, and so on, so on. Do you see how the training can stick you into a place, perhaps even to sitting in a chair that says, here's what I believe, here's what I don't believe, good luck. And that's it. It's very difficult for us to give you anything more than you're willing to receive. Are you willing to receive something different right now? Do you give intent in this channeling to receive something different? These channelings are heard by many, not just the members of the healing circle. The actual meditations are not heard by many. They're the ones that are sequestered to the membership for good reason, because you have signed up to steward your own healing. But this channel is heard by all. And so I turn my attention to the all as well as you. And I want to tell you something, that if you are going to participate in the healing of any kind, the healing of your past memories, the healing of fear, the healing of disease, the healing of your body clock to slow it down, the healing of aging. Now that's an odd thing. You'd say, well, you age, and what you cannot unage. You might say, how do you heal that? Dear ones, you're not getting it. Did you realize your body clock is something you control? So don't let the numbers that are assigned with your age tell you how old you are on this planet, or how you should behave, or perhaps you're listening to certain advertisements on the television that tell you how old you are and just how infirm you must be. That is not a reality. The reality is this: you control your aging. That's the reality. Healing is a 24/7 participatory event. You must participate all the time. Where does God fit into this if that's the case? Because that's your partner. It is a partnership, and we have said this before. Even that which is with your innate. This is a partnership. Whatever you have decided, whether it's the healing circle or not, whatever you've decided you are going to do with you, with yourselves, whatever you've decided is that healing that you're going to accomplish, you no longer hand it off and then sit in the corner and wait for it. That is not the way it works. You are sitting in a new energy where you're asked to participate in every single way. Every single intent you give, whether it's on the other side of the mist in the healing circle, or whether it's you sitting there not having any idea what we're talking about. If you have given intent for a healing in your body, I will tell you, you've got to participate. And the participation of it is something we will be covering in more channels as we go, because that's the question, well, what am I supposed to do? And how am I supposed to do it? That's all coming. But some of you have intuition. You know about affirmations. You know about your own meditations. You don't have to wait for a circle of 12 every Wednesday, if you're a member, to participate in this. You can do it every day. You can do it every hour. That's the beauty of this. That's the beauty of you healing you. You cannot hand it off anymore. It doesn't work that way anymore. There was a time, dear ones, when that's all you could do, but
That has changed. You're moving now into another cycle, a cycle of power, ability, realization, awakening, all of that. That is why we changed the modality of Kryon to start informing you of a beautiful power. There'll be more. For now, I say, and so it is.
Hello, I'm Lee Carroll.